Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this Saturday morning edition of New Distributor Training. My name is Fred Holmes. I'm an independent distributor with ZJ International. My privilege to be the trainer this morning. Got all dressed up for work. Got my ZJ t-shirt going. Got my ZJ cocktails going. But I want to extend a very warm welcome to all of you that have taken a little bit of time this morning to join us. I'm going to do my very, very best to provide some value for the time that you're investing here with us. I want to do a couple things. First of all, want to recognize a number of our very well-established distributors have joined us this morning. And I use that as an illustration because if you already know everything, you've stopped growing. If you stop growing, by definition, that means you're dead. I'm very impressed when I see our up-and-coming rising stars, people, seasoned network marketing professionals that join this, and it's, especially when we're looking at people, for instance, like, Reed Nelson. I mean, Reed has more experience and tenure in the industry in his little finger than I hope to aspire to. But what he's done is he recognizes that you can pick up something from everybody. And so I want to recognize you, those of you that are established distributors. And I'm going to offer some things for you today that I think are going to be very valuable to you. I want to recognize those of you who are brand new distributors, maybe whether you're on right now with us live, or maybe you are checking out the training on the video recording link on YouTube. I particularly want to recognize you because this concept of network marketing, person-to-person marketing, multi-level marketing, that's frankly the term I prefer because I think it's more illustrative of what we do. This was such a foreign concept to me when I first got involved in the industry. Well over 30 years ago, I was a cross-country truck driver, desperately seeking a way to create significantly above average income so I could provide for my young son's education. He had some special needs, and there was nothing out there except for this profession that was going to offer that, and it's turned into so much more. And this ability to understand the concepts, the fundamentals of what it is that we really do that creates the significant levels of income. I was so fortunate to be exposed to that very early on in my career. And so for those of you that are brand new distributors just getting started with us, I hope you right now grab your journal, get your journal or your notebook or whatever it is that you're using, but you should be having something that can become archival, something that you can be jotting down notes for your network marketing career, and you'll be able to retain it. I've got, well, not fancy journals like this. Today, my journals are really cool. They're leather bound. They got the, little foil, edges like your Bible, got the little, dealy bob thing here for your pages and stuff. In the early days, they were spiral bound notebooks, the puppies that you get for like what, $1 a piece or 50 cents a piece or whatever. But the information that was recorded in those journals from my very original training days has been invaluable in creating a career in network marketing, to creating an income that, not only is it unbelievable to most people, frankly, it's a little unbelievable to me sometimes, so I really encourage you, especially the brand new people, to have your journal. Now, I want to give you a couple of things, because today, new distributor training is what we call our Saturday broadcast meeting. There are many things that we do during Saturday morning new distributor training. Myself, a couple of the other team members conduct these training sessions, and it's an ongoing, you'll have something different every Saturday morning. The foundation, if you will, the new distributor training is something that has already been created and archived. I'm going to encourage you to go to my YouTube channel. It's www.youtube.com/Fred Holmes ZJ. So my name, Fred Holmes, Holmes, and the word ZJ, Z-I-J-A. Go to youtube.com/Fred Holmes ZJ. This is the place where we archive all of our presentations and trainings. You'll see, for instance, for those of you that missed it, you got to go to the YouTube channel and check out last Thursday, 2 days ago, Candace Smiley, one of our rising stars in Zija, Emerald Distributor with us, she hosted that presentation. She had her guest, Will Weaver. You really need to take that in because Will Weaver's the real deal, okay? He's a single dad. He's gone from, financial adversity to financial prosperity while creating a life and a lifestyle for him and his 2 young daughters. The things that he shared about what was important to his success, all of you need to get that, okay? You need to go watch that video. When you get to the YouTube channel, you will find a link that says playlists. When you go to that link, you'll see a single playlist. It's 4 videos entitled New Distributor Training. Especially if you're just getting started with us, I encourage you to start there. Go there first. Those 4 videos, the first one is called New Distributor Training. It's 30 minutes long. What that video is a culmination of, my first original Saturday morning training, my very first multi-level company. This goes back to 1985, actually the fall of 1984. It was the very first training I got, Saturday morning. That company that I was with back then has historically been known as the company that's created some of the finest training that's ever existed in our profession. And I had the good fortune to have that as my first company. And that 30-minute video that I share, New Distributor Training, that is everything. That is the fundamentals of what it takes to build a successful long-term network marketing business. So I encourage you to watch that 30-minute video. Now, I encourage you to look at the other 3 additional videos that are there. Those, and they're each about 10 minutes long, so say another 30 minutes, okay? Those 3 little videos, they comprise what we would call the fast start training. So New Distributor Training and then fast start training. Fast start training, how to create a prospect list, how to develop your personal Zija story, 90-day game plan. These are the things that I already knew when I joined Zija several years ago. I didn't have to learn how to do this. I'd already done this. I'd already become very successful. I mean, so much so that when I started multi-level in the mid-'80s, I literally retired 10 years later. Okay, I retired. I had already done everything that was necessary, what takes most people 40 or 50 years to do. I'd done it in 10 years, and I retired as a relatively young man. Now, hopefully that's motivating you to take me up on my suggestion. Get that initial training underneath your belt. Each Saturday morning, we encourage you to come back here. Myself or one of our other leaders will be doing a Saturday morning training, and we're going to be building on those topics. Today, I want to be very specific on a couple of things that are going to be incredibly important for the next 59 days that we have here at the conclusion of 2018. The next 59 days, if you do the things I'm going to share with you, could quite literally create the greatest year of your life in terms of personal development, financial development, finding that place that you want to be in for the rest of your life in terms of being able to give to others, do something that is worth doing. And I believe that most people want that. I believe most people want to make a contribution. It's kind of like this. Most people care about their children. Most people care about their friends. Most people care about their family. Most people strive to be in a position to give to others, but the reality is, for most people, it's difficult enough to take care of yourself or your immediate family. And for those of you that want to be in a position where not only is that a given, that you can take care of yourself and your immediate family, but you can bring value to the lives of others, the next 59 days could make an incredibly significant impact on what will happen to you in 2019. Now, again, I want you to grab your journal. And for those of you that got the little, Facebook posting promoting today's event, meeting, or maybe you're on my email list, I'm going to answer that one right now because that's always a question. You can get on my email list by simply going to fredholmes.com, my name, click contact. When you scroll down to the bottom of the page, you're going to see all my contact information, because occasionally I'll say, well, get a hold of me. How do I get a hold of you? All my contact information's online. My telephone, home phone number, my cell phone, my email address, my favorite color. I like, quiet evenings, walks on the beach. Everything you want to know about me, and maybe more than you need to, is on that website. When you get to the contact section, scroll down, you'll see a place where it says you can, do you want to subscribe to my newsletter? That's just my team email list. Say, put in your name and your email address. You'll be included on the email list. Now, for those of you that got that email or the Facebook post, I was hoping to get your attention because I made a comment, something about, do you know the #1 skill that creates the top income earners in our profession? And hopefully that's one of the things that drove you here today. And so I'm going to share with you the things that every single top income earner will share with you. I'm looking here at the list of people. Wow, there's a lot of people I don't recognize. That's very good. Now, here's what you don't need to be a top income earner. All right. You do not need decades of experience. You do not need extraordinary levels of, speaking ability, stage presence, previous experience in the industry, previous, success in business in general. None of those things are a requirement to create success in our profession. I say that because I lived that. When I first joined this kind of business, I was successful in the sense that I was a successful truck driver, but I did not have the experience in network marketing, experience in sales. I was not a public speaker. I was not I was not real comfortable in large crowds. I was not that, outgoing personality. I didn't have millions of friends. I didn't have a lot of money. I had all the things that the average person believes are disadvantages to them. What I did have, and I would encourage you to write this in your notes, the 3 most important things that'll create success in our profession. There are also the 3 most important things that'll create success in any profession. #1, good work ethics, willingness to work, if you will. See, I had that in spades. I knew no other way to be than to be a good worker. My grandfather taught me that. My grandfather raised, I think it was half a dozen kids. Did so as a farm laborer. He and my grandfather walked across the border in California from Mexico in 2008, I believe it was, with their first child. My mother was the youngest of the children. When my grandfather got too old to work, there was no retirement for farm workers, but because he had been with the Blanchard family in the San Paulo area for such a long time, his retirement was they let him live in the little shack they offered for the farm workers. My mother had to quit school to support the family. My mother was a single mom very early on. She raised me and my sister alone without help from anybody. No child support, no family support. My mom always had a full-time job, a part-time job, and a part-time job. I knew nothing other than being a diligent worker. I was learned very early on in life. If you want to be successful, you don't put in 100%. You put in 110%. That's how you get to have the job or keep the job. If I was given an assignment to work to get this much done in 4 hours, I did it in 3.5 or 3. Why? 1, because I could, and 2, living up to people's expectations is average. Everybody has to do that. Everybody has to show up for work. Everybody has to do a minimal amount of work. If you want to be above average, then you have to be above average. Real simple, okay? So, willingness to work, number 1 ingredient. Number 2, be coachable. Be willing to learn. See, and I said this at the top of the hour, if you are not learning, you're not growing. If you're not growing, you're dead. Every single person can learn something from somebody. Two of the most important things I've ever learned in life, I learned 33 years ago from my 5-year-old son. Okay, I was in my mid-30s. Learned 2 of the most important things in the world. Number 1, there is more than one right way to do a thing. My 5-year-old taught me that. There's more than one right way to do it, right? Because I always thought there was only one right way, which was my way. He taught me there's more than one right way. Number 2, it doesn't always have to be perfect. It just has to be good enough. And if you think about it, that'll apply to most things. I tend to be that guy that wants to make it perfect. In most cases, good enough will work. So you can learn something from everybody. When I got involved in this business, I was incredibly coachable simply because I knew that I didn't know what to do. Okay, that made it very easy for me to be coachable. I had a big advantage. I worked directly with somebody who did know. My first sponsor, my first company was $1 million earner. And so by definition, he knew what to do to be successful. Willing to work, willing to learn, last ingredient, burning desire to succeed. That burning desire to succeed is the key to success in our business. And I don't know what your burning desire to succeed. Maybe it's just to have a better life for you and the family. Maybe it's, for some people, it's to prove to everybody else that they can be successful. For me, my burning desire to succeed was my son. My son required not only my time, but the financial resources to provide the support systems that he needed. And nobody else was going to provide that. And I was the guy that was going to have to do it if I was going to fulfill my promise, which was to provide an environment where my son could become everything that he had the potential of coming. That was that was my gift from God, was my son, and my obligation, okay, my responsibility. And whatever your burning desire to succeed is, maybe it's not going to be, as significant as your child, okay? Although the more significant it is, the more powerful the motivation is. But whatever it is, what is it that you need? Okay, that has to be your focus, because this is not called get rich quick overnight money for nothing. Okay, if that's what you're looking for, play the lotto, right? There is no such thing as get rich quick overnight money for nothing. Now, get rich quick, that's a relative term. Okay, it took me 10 years to accumulate the kind of money that would have taken me probably 2 lifetimes as a truck driver to earn. So is that overnight? Depends on what your definition of overnight is, right? In Zija, literally, in just a few short years, I eclipsed what I'd done in my previous network marketing career that allowed me to retire in 10 years. Is that overnight? I don't know. Depends on what your definition is. What is the key is the concept, you should write this in your notes, consistency of effort on a daily basis and persistency of that effort for a prolonged period of time. How long is a prolonged period of time? As long as it takes. So this is really important to understand. This is the difference between people that try it and people that do it. The day I made my decision to start my Zija business, and it wasn't an overnight decision. It took me some time to analyze the company, the product, the compensation plan, the corporate leadership, to make a decision that this really was the real deal. I'd been looking at other companies for close to 10 years since my retirement from the previous network marketing venture. It took a while to make that decision. It took almost as long, probably even a little bit longer than that, to decide whether I was willing to do this. Because I know that it takes time, especially with back when Zija started. They've been in business a couple of years. They were a little dinky company. There really wasn't much here. I knew it was going to take a significant amount of time to create the foundation of Zija to go into what's happening right now, what we're calling Zija 2.0. This is the time that we were hoping for in Zija all along, is what we have today. But the day that I decided to start my Zija business, I set my goal to make $1 million, and it was never a timeline. It was never, I'm going to give it a year or 2 years or whatever. I set my goals to do Zija until I had accomplished my goal. Now, I'm going to be candid with you, especially that first year. It didn't move as fast as I thought it would. Okay. I mean, I honestly thought it was going to work faster that first year. It took, frankly, a couple of years of working my Zija business. And I'm the guy that knows how to do this. I've already done it. It took a couple of years to really get the thing into motion, to get it into momentum. But that never swayed my long-term goal. Long-term goal, make $1 million. Timeline, until I succeeded. And that's the hallmark, the difference between truly successful people and people that wish they could. They tried, but didn't. So, number one skill, and I'm sharing some of the things with you I shared in a short video conference here before today's broadcast. Because a young man asked me, what are the percentages? What percentage of people are successful in something like this? And I acknowledged what he was asking, but I told him it all depends on the person. Okay, let's be realistic. 80% of the population in our country, are 80%ers. That's not who we're looking for. Okay, we're looking for 20%ers. Okay, there's a reason why the top 20% of the people in the world have always been in the top 20%. It has to do with them. It doesn't have anything to do with their opportunities. I was in the top, 10%, 5%, maybe even 1% of truck drivers when I was a truck driver. Doesn't mean I made a lot of money, but it meant I could work whenever I wanted to. If you're a top 20% or a top 10% or 5% or 1%er in your, behavior, then all you need is the right vehicle to be successful. Now, I'm going to share with you in just a couple of minutes here the number one skill set of top producers. And it's going to amaze you at how simple this is. And then I'm going to go ahead and conclude our time this morning, fielding any question and answer that you have. So give me about 5 minutes. All right. The number one skill set that creates the highest levels of success in our profession is not what most people think. Okay. It isn't having, tremendous contacts. It isn't being, an incredibly, outgoing person, having lots of financial resources, previous experience in network marketing, great, presentation skills or what have you. The number one skill set is developing an effective daily method of operation. Some of you have heard DMO, daily method of operation, because without an effective daily method of operation, it is immaterial how good your contacts are, how much credibility you have with your contacts, what a great speaker you are, what your lead generation techniques are, your previous experience, what have you. None of that is going to help you. You cannot be successful with that if you do not have an effective daily method of operation. Now, there's a lot of people have talked about, what do you do on a daily basis? I want to share with you something I learned from a fellow by the name of Jim Rohn. And I've tried to search for this recording online. I've never been able to find it. But, I know it's recorded somewhere. But Jim Rohn talked about how to establish a daily method of operation. And I'm going to share with you the 3 or 4 things that are characteristic of a successful DMO, daily method of operation. And you want to follow this by the letter, because there's some magic here that you'll miss if you try and abbreviate it. What Jim Rohn said was to finish your day before you go to bed, and it's best shortly before you go to bed, to sit down with pen and paper. Okay, this is critical, with pen and paper. And number 1, write down 5 or 6 things that will make a materially positive difference in your business tomorrow. 5 or 6 things, just write them down. And when you analyze, like the new distributor training, I encourage you to go to my YouTube channel and get the new distributor training. You'll find what we do is pretty simple. Okay, what are the things we do? We share the product, we share the opportunity, we teach others to do the same. Now, use that as the foundation. 5 or 6 things you're going to do today, and be specific. Okay, number 1. I would encourage you to at least add in there 1 or 2 exposures on our product, 1 or 2 exposures to our business. And a lot of this will have to do with the amount of time you've made a decision to allocate to your business. Are you going to put in 5 to 7 hours a week to your business? Are you going to put in 10 to 15 hours a week in your business? You need to make a decision what it is that you can do, can allocate to your business. Now, you might put in, I'm going to call, Mary Lou and introduce her to my product. I'm going to call Bob and, follow up on his first day's use of the product. Okay, so there's 2 product exposures. One of them's a follow-up, one's a first exposure. Same thing with the opportunity. I'm going to call, Sally, and I'm going to talk to her about my business. I'm going to invite her to take a look at what I'm doing. I'm going to follow up on, Jimmy, to see if he got, through the first, the new distributor training. So now we've got 4 things out of the 5 or 6 we need to do. Let me make sure that you have included in those 5 or 6 things 2 specific things you want to do every day. One of those has to be a commitment to personal or skill sets development, personal development or skill sets development. So put down, I'm going to read, chapter 3 in Don Fala's book, the 10 paper napkin presentations. The title of the book is the 45-second presentation. Or I'm going to listen to the last half of Jim Rohn's audio recording, how to build your network marketing distributorship. I'm going to read one more chapter in Think and Grow Rich, or whatever it is you're doing for personal development or skill sets development. Allocate time every day for personal development, and I include skill sets development in there. And then one more item you want to include in there, plugging in to something, being part of a live event. Maybe it's tomorrow's Wednesday, let's say, for example. It's not Wednesday tomorrow, but let's say it is. You put on your to-do list, you're going to plug into Pat Anderson's Health Talks webinar. okay, whatever it is. So 5 or 6 things, write them down, be specific. Number 2, schedule them. Get your day timer, get your calendar, however you schedule your day, and calendar those events. When are you going to talk to Mary Lou? When are you going to follow up on Jimmy? What is the specific time you're going to devote to your personal development? What is the time of the event you're going to plug into? Now, maybe there's no event tomorrow that you can plug into. There's no local event for your team. There isn't a team meeting that your upline's doing or what have you. Then you plug into a recorded event. If you weren't able to get today's Saturday morning a new distributor training, on Monday, you may have that as part of your event. The event you're going to plug into is you've set aside time to listen to this recorded event. So you've done 2 things. You've identified in writing 5 or 6 things that will make a positive impact in your business tomorrow. Second thing you've done is you've calendared them. You've actually scheduled them. Now, time to go to sleep. Go to bed, and one of the reasons this is good to do shortly before you go to sleep is it's pretty much the last thing on your mind as you go to sleep, and your subconscious mind will start to process this as you are sleeping, and then when you wake up in the morning, you don't have to guess what you're going to do. You already know. You already know what time you have to go to work. You already know how many hours you're going to be there. But you also have your schedule. You know that you're supposed to call Mary Lou on the way to work. Okay, you're going to follow up on Jimmy during your lunch break. You got up 30 minutes earlier than normal today so you could invest 30 minutes in your personal development, your reading, your skill sets development, what have you. You've scheduled, a half hour after the kids have gone to bed. That's your 30 minutes to plug into the event that was, a recorded event, or, maybe you're going to be on the Thursday night, Biz Talks presentation with me or one of the other leaders, and that's happening at, 8:30 your time. So make sure the kids get dinner done and they're doing their homework so you can be on that event. Whatever it is, you already know what to do. Now, here's where the magic comes in. At the end of the day, you're going to have one more task. From the night before, you had 2 tasks. Identify and write down 5 or 6 things that will make a difference. Number 2, calendar them. Now that you're gone through your first day, you've got a 3rd task. Again, shortly before the end of the day, sit down with your calendar and look at the activities you scheduled. What were those activities, and did you accomplish them? And 1 of 2 things are going to happen. It's what Jim Rohn calls celebrate or fix. You're either going to celebrate because you accomplished all the tasks you had set for yourself in your ZJ business. And if you celebrate, then you need to do it specifically this way. Okay? And I'm not telling you how to celebrate. All right? What I'm saying is that the celebration should be something that's tangible to you, that it's kind of a reward. It's always best to involve something that's some kind of physicality to it. Example, you completed all 6 things. You might celebrate by having a bowl of ice cream, okay, because it's got physical activity involved in it, and everybody, who doesn't love ice cream? I guess if you don't love ice cream, you probably don't like puppies and kittens either. But that's an example of a great celebration. Now, that's not what I'm going to recommend. Okay, I'm not saying you can't have ice cream once in a while. If you have ice cream every single day, that could be a real problem, right? Here's my celebration. Whenever I accomplish the 5 or 6 things on my list, I jump up and I do the dance. Oh yeah, I did it. Oh cool. Oh yeah. Now, why does that work for me? Because it's physical. It's got movement in it. I like dancing. That's a celebration to me. And it takes 30 seconds. Okay. At the end of the day, you're going to do 1 of 2 things. You're either going to celebrate, and if you did, celebrate, okay? Maybe you get to stay up, 10 minutes later and watch something on TV or whatever. Or, number 2, you're going to have to fix it. It's either celebrate or fixed based on the results. Now, the fix part, here's where it's really simple, okay? If you did not accomplish the 5 or 6 things that you'd set out to do, knowing how to fix it is simple, because it's always going to fall into one of two categories. Either you overestimated what you could accomplish within the time that you allotted. For example, I'm going to call 12 people on my way to work. Well, if you got a 20-minute, drive to work, and your goal was to call 12 people, you counted that as one activity, probably going to be a little difficult to accomplish 12 phone calls in 20 minutes, especially if anybody answers the phone. You overestimated how much you could accomplish within the time that you had allotted for that task. Or, number 2, you failed to follow your schedule. Okay, example. I'm going to follow up on Jimmy during my lunch break. And just about lunchtime, your friends from the other office come over and they go, hey, come on, let's go out and get a burger, hang out with us. We never get to see each other anymore. Come on, hang out. And you blow off calling Jimmy for your follow-up so you can go hang out with your friends. Okay? You either overestimated the time required to accomplish what you wanted to do, or you failed to follow your schedule. That's the only reasons that you did not get those things done. That's all there is. Okay? And there's always somebody say, well, Fred, I couldn't do my noon call because they called me from the school and my kid fell down and I had to go over there. I'm not saying that you did the wrong thing. School calls you, your kid's hurt, you got to go get your kid. But the reason you didn't accomplish it is you didn't follow your schedule. I'm not saying that the reason you didn't follow your schedule wasn't a valid reason. I'm saying if you want to know how to fix it, it comes down to one of those two things. Okay? Overestimated how much you could accomplish in the time you allotted, or you failed to follow your schedule. Now, that failed to follow your schedule, what if your life depended on it? Okay? What if your life depended on it? Whatever the reason was you failed to follow your schedule, would you have followed your schedule if your life depended on it? If that's not important enough, if your child's life depended on it. See, it really makes a difference how important those distractions are. My best friend from, school days, I ain't seen him in 20 years, came by, what was I supposed to do? Whatever you did, I guess, is what you thought you were supposed to do. But what if your life had depended on it? Would you have told your friend, I can't see you now, I'll see you for dinner? What if your child's life depended on it? And I want you to think about this. The network marketing profession was the answer to my prayers for my son. And indirectly, what I did not realize was the answers to the prayer for my first grandson, because it allowed me, I had the capacity to be a stay-at-home grandpa. And today, to be able to stay at home and care for my elderly mother, it's because of network marketing. So after you completed your first day, you got one more task: celebrate or fix, and then go back to the first and second task. Write down 5 or 6 things that'll make a difference in your business. Calendar those things. Go to sleep. Wake up the next morning. Follow your schedule. At the end of the day, celebrate or fix. Write down 5 or 6 more things that'll make a difference tomorrow. Calendar them. And folks, the reason I said this is the #1 skill set of the top income earners in our profession is because every single person, and ask them, okay, every single diamond in ZJ, every single 6 or 7-figure income earner in this profession of network marketing has learned how to do the doing part on a daily basis. Consistency of activity and persistency long enough is what accomplishes your goals. And if you master this one skill set, everything else that you believe is a challenge to you, I don't have enough contacts, I don't have enough money, I don't have enough experience, I'm not a good speaker, I don't know what to say, I don't have enough knowledge, whatever. Every single one of those obstacles will evaporate if you simply do this one skill. And if you don't believe me, try it and prove me wrong, because you won't be able to prove me wrong. I'm the example of that, because I understood this concept of consistency of effort on a daily basis overcomes all obstacles. It is not possible for you to not improve. Is that double negative? There's got to be a better way to phrase that. See, you don't even have to speak well. Notice how I said not talk good. I've been trying. You don't even have to speak well to be able to master these kinds of things. So, number one skill set, establish a daily method of operation. Start out by writing down, ink on paper, 5 or 6 things to do for tomorrow. Calendar, number 2, calendar those things. At the end of tomorrow, celebrate or fix, and then do it again. And folks, all I can tell you, do that for 90 days. It will amaze you at the momentum that's in your business. Do that for a year, you're on pace for a 6-figure income. Do that for 3 years, you're on pace for a 7-figure income. Okay, and I'm not saying maybe, I've done it. I can tell you it works. So, time that I hope that was of benefit or of help to you folks, that you've gotten something out of that. I'm going to open up my chat window here. And the time that we have left here, let me just take, if there's a question or something I might be able to answer, I'll do my very best at it. And we'll start from the bottom up. Writing it down is critical. For those of you that are monitoring the little chat box window, you can see it, the webinar chat thing at the bottom of your screen. Lorene does a tremendous job at reinforcing the topics. I mean, that's always what I used to do. You know, I mean, even in school, because I was never, I mean, I was a smart kid, but I was a terrible student. But what I did is I paid attention to the little, you know, the little hints, right? If the teacher said it twice or wrote it on the board, it was going to be on the test. That's the stuff I studied. You know, when I was sitting in, you know, seminars back in the old seminar days, you know, trying to learn stuff, when I saw people nodding their head, I figured that's got to be important. I wrote that stuff down. Let's see. Tanya, thank you. What a kind thing to say. My pleasure, Andrea. Consistency and persistence. Yeah, persistency. I'm not sure that that's a real word. It's a word that I use, so that makes it a word. Laurene's talking something about the subconscious brain. See, I'm not the guy that does the, you know, that kind of training or neural linguistics. I mean, I just, you know, I know the people who do that kind of stuff, and I just buy the story. That's why the celebration has to be physical. When you do affirmations, touch your head, touch your heart. I mean, I just know it works. I don't worry about how it works. I just know it works. Each day is a new day. Again, on a scale of 1 to 10, how important is it for you? Post your answer in the house to remind you to go. Oh, I like that. By the way, with Lorene saying, it was very important for me to use some of those subtle clues. You know, talking about, you know, the vacation, keeping a picture of, you know, the islands in front of me. Even when I was doing Zija, you know, I had a picture of a BMW, you know, on my desktop before I bought my first Zija BMW. It's 80 in Phoenix, #1 set, daily method of operation, of course. Geez, you know what? I'm going to stop doing these trainings. I'm just going to let Lauren write it down because she's got everything here. Let's see, I tried. So anyway, folks, this is your time. I'm going through the little chat box here. If you have a specific question or a comment, something I might be able to help with, I'm more than happy to do that. I am going to tell you the next 59 days, it's kind of like if you had an extra year or two to build your Zija business, you can every 30 days, it's like an extra year. Okay, let me just put it that way. Okay, what's going to happen in 2019? And this was, again, part of the stuff that I already knew before coming into Zija. And this is actually, it's kind of interesting. It's exactly 1 decade ago. At the end of 2008, my focus, and I've been working all year in my Zija business, my focus was to take that last 2 or 3 months of the year and do everything by the numbers, focused on all-out massive action, work my daily method of operation. I didn't skip a beat. What I kept in the top of my mind is that success in most things is working counter to the masses. Folks, if you want to be as good as the masses, think about this. In the United States, 80% of the people live off of less than $60,000 a year. 80% of the people live off of less than $60,000 a year. That's average. If that's what you aspire to, don't spend any time here, okay? It's not that hard to be average. But if you want to be above average, first of all, you got to be above average. You got to have above average desire, above average goals, above average, work ethics, above average coachability. You got to be above average to become above average. But I'm going to give you a little trick. Don't do what the average people do. Okay? Simple. If you don't want to be average, don't do what the average people do. This is the time of year that the average person in network marketing is slowing down what they're doing. We're getting to the holidays, got to get, ready, get Christmas shopping done, get ready for Thanksgiving, going to have all the parties, families visiting, blah, blah, blah. There's all these reasons. It's cold outside, whatever. Average people slow down at this time of year. If you don't want to be average, don't do what the average people do. Let me tell you what the above average people are doing. They're not doing what the average people are doing. They are focused on a daily method of operation. I keep remembering that back when I had a job, now it's been a long time since I had a job, but I did have a job back in the day. And back in the day, during the holidays, they gave me 1 day off for Thanksgiving and 1 day off for Christmas. That's it. Just 2 days. They didn't give me Halloween off. 2 days. That's it for the entire holiday season. And if the average person in network marketing is slowing down right now because it's the holidays, if you simply do what the average people don't do, by definition, you're going to be above average. See if I got a question here. Let's see. DMO, set goes. How to help new distributors peak their prospects. Okay, folks, everybody wants to know the secret. Okay, there is no secret. Just do what works for you. Okay, I do want to make this one comment. If you were to poll 100 of Zija's top income earners and ask them how were they exposed to Zija, here's what I'm going to tell you. 90% of them will say they were exposed to Zija from somebody that they knew. 90% of the people will tell you that they were introduced to Zija by somebody they knew. Now, I'm not saying there aren't other ways to develop contacts and that sort of thing, but I want you to think about this for a minute. If 90% of the people that are the top 100 people in our company, if 90% of them were introduced by somebody they knew, would you spend 90% of your time trying to find strangers to talk to about Zija? Think about that for just a minute. Okay? Would that be what you'd want to do? When I hear somebody say, well, Fred, I've run out of my contacts. I'm sorry, but I don't buy the story, because nobody runs out of contacts that they know. Nobody does. Okay, I'm going to tell you right now, if I look over here, I mean, I see several of our rising stars right now on here. Reed Nelson has not talked to every single person he knows. And Reed and Yvonne, I mean, they bury me in income. I mean, I'm a pauper compared to what those folks have earned in network marketing. Reed and Yvonne, they know they got more network marketing experience in their little finger than I've got. I've not talked to everybody I know. Okay. Well, I'm going to get too carried away if I go much farther on that. 90% of the top income earners were introduced by somebody that they knew. And if you have a brand new person that's willing to work, willing to learn, and highly, and has a burning desire, they bring to the table hundreds of contacts for your business that you don't know. Okay, and so if you're really looking for somebody else, I look for people I know and my team members, prospects, right? Because they count in my business. Any last questions? We've got a complete schedule of events coming up here this week. David Moses, Millionaires in Training. He's in Europe, so it won't be at the normal time, but it'll usually in the midday, and you can see it on his Facebook Live. Thursday evening, Pat Anderson does a virtual business presentation. Go to clubmoringa.com, www.clubmoringa.com to link up for that. Wednesday night, 9:30 p.m. Eastern, our product focused presentation. Again, Pat Anderson, go to www.clubmoringa.com to link up for that. Thursday evening, I'm really excited. Thursday evening, I will be hosting Biz Talks, and I'm going to have Monica and Brandon Cooper as my guests. Folks, you have absolutely got to hear these folks' story. Brandon and Monica, they're the real deal. Okay, and I don't use that term too often because it means something very important to me. The real deal is somebody who has the correct philosophy, in life, but the correct philosophy of this business. Okay, don't sell somebody the product. Be the person that helps somebody with some, health or physical related issue. Because if that's your focus, the money will track you down. Don't worry about making money. Worry about helping people. Same thing with the business. Don't worry about, don't think about, oh man, I'm going to get this guy in because it's going to make me a ton of money. Only recruit people that you want to help make money. Because if you care more about your new guy's paycheck than you care about your own, that is the correct philosophy. And your correct philosophy will put you in a state where the money will track you down like a bloodhound. You cannot escape it no matter how much you try. Monica and Brandon, they're the real deal. And they've got an incredible story. And, I hate this phrase, if they can do it, you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. Guess what? Anybody can do this so long as you're like the people who are doing it. Willing to work, willing to learn, burning desire to succeed. Don't strive to be average. One last check, and then I'm going to close this down here. Service before self. Thank you, Lorraine. Pat Anderson. Oh, hey, Pat Anderson. Woo! Pat Anderson joined us. That's pretty good because Pat Anderson does webinars from like 9 o'clock at night till 9 o'clock in the morning because she's doing so much work in Europe. And then she takes a break, and then at 9:30 in the morning, she does webinars. and I tease her. I go, so what? Did you finally get off the golf course? I don't think she likes it when I say that. All right, I think we're good for now, folks. Listen, I hope you had half as much fun as I had today doing this. I hope you've gotten some information, something of value out of it. This will be posted to the YouTube channel here a little bit later. Pass it on to your team members that couldn't make it. Look forward to seeing you next week, and have a wonderful weekend. Thanks for joining. See ya.